Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So everything is fine.
We see you, yeah.
Hello to all of you. It's a pleasure for me to give you some information on our varieties and plum varieties in order to let you know what's happening with plum varieties.
Yeah, please open your...
Yep, we do so.
Share the screen with us.
So.
Are you having permission to share screen?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's working.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, it's we see your slides.
Okay, perfect. And it's
go ahead, please.
It's switching as well. Everything is fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would just a few words on our company, on Bayerisches Obstzentrum. So we are a private company dedicated to the breeding of new varieties in apple, in pear, and in European plum. We breed these varieties and we sell as well the trees of these varieties to fruit growers within the European Union. Outside the European Union, we have got several partners. The one which we have for Moldova is Vivae Battistini in Italy. So in case anybody is interested on the trees, so we cooperate with Vivae Battistini. So now I would give you an overview on the varieties we have in production here in Germany, and I will talk about 4 varieties we released recently. They are underlined in yellow here. So the ripening period is starting with Juna, then Katinka and Hanka, and then we have got our new variety Franzi, which is ripening a bit before Czechanska Lipotica. And then in top 5 and Hanita ripening time, another variety which is completely resistant to Sharka. This is Moni. Then we have got some other varieties, Top Taste, which is pretty important here in Germany, in Austria especially, and probably as well a little bit in Moldova. Czechanska Rodna, and then Jofela and Yo-Yo, which are resistant to Sharka as well. And then we have got the newly released variety Resi, and I will give you detailed information about it. And then we have got some other varieties, late ripening varieties, Presenta, which is the most important late ripening variety in Germany. And we have added another one which is called Froni, which is ripening even later, 10 days later than Presenta, which opens a window for very, very late harvest. So we start with the early ripening one with Franzi. Franzi is ripening about 5 days before Czechanska Lipotica. It has got large fruits with a weight of 40 to 48 gram and a diameter of 36 to 48 millimeter. The color is blue-violet, and as Peter Hilsendegen said, it is very important then that you do not have an overcropping, because if you have really overcropping that variety on that regions where there are plenty of fruits on one part of the tree, then the color development is not good. So you should do a good thinning, and you should train your tree pretty well. On the other hand, it has got a good advantage that it is very fruitful. We will see later on. The color is developing just prior to harvest, so not 3 weeks or 2 weeks before, as we know it from other varieties. So this is pretty fine as well, because if the color is switching, then usually you can start picking as well. And the fruit has got a very nice bloom, which makes it pretty attractive. You see on the right-hand side the sliced fruits. The stone is completely free, and the fruit flesh is yellow, as you can see here as well. What about the inner quality? We have got 16 to 20 bricks, which is pretty okay for an early ripening variety. The acidity is between 5.7 to 10 gram per liter. It is a very sweet fruit, and the fruit flesh is firm, and it is very well rated in in these kind of rankings when you make some tastings with different people. So at the ripening stages, on the left-hand side, you see a fruit which is not really ready for picking because it's too green. And on the middle part here, this is perfect for picking. It is yellow to orange. On the right-hand side, it's overripe. It's not for storage and not for long-term selling because it is too ripe. So, if you have a look on the tree, in the nursery, we have to say the branching is not really fine. So usually you get trees which are not branched or which have only few side branches. But this is not really a problem because you just cut it back and then the side branches will develop very well. And later on, it's not a problem with branching or with feathering or whatever. So you have got a good and nice tree. However, as a young tree coming from the nursery, you usually have got this kind of whips without side branches. The yields start pretty low, usually in year 2. We have learned that this variety is one of the most frost-tolerant varieties concerning spring frosts in the bloom, and as well if the frost occurs in case there are young fruits on the tree. So this is one of the best bearing varieties with the highest yield when frost damages occur in springtime. The flower is self-fertile, and as I have told you before, it's resistant. What is resistant is very tolerant to spring frost. Of course, if it has got maybe -6 or -7 degrees, of course we have got damages in the flowers as well. What is important in that variety, what you should think about, the yield is very, very high, and therefore you should do a good thinning. The thinning can be reached by chemical thinning, but as well if you do a good training system. When you do the pruning in winter times, then you should eliminate the wood with plenty of flower buds and the old wood, and this is the best way to get really an excellent fruit quality in summer with the fruits. The vegetative growth is pretty strong. So the second variety I would like to present to you is Moni. Moni is one of the best tasting plums we know, and it is absolutely resistant to the plum pox virus, to the Charka virus. Other than Franzi, the Moni tree usually is branching pretty well in the nursery, so you get trees with several side branches, and you have to know that the fruits of very young trees in the first and second crop are smaller than usual, so do not be afraid of getting just small fruits. It's just in the very young trees. This is a picture of a tree which is just in the perfect time for bearing, about let's say 6 years old, and we have got regular crop. However, what we have to say is you need a really good pollinator. And you have to know that the fruiting zones in Moni is a little bit different from other varieties. You will not have too many fruits from on the long shoots, but you have to wait until you get spurs developing on these long shoots, and then you get higher yields. As you can see here, this is not the yield is not on the 1 year long shoots, but on older wood, which is important for Moni. On the left-hand side, you can see the trees in the flowering time. Here you can see as well pollination experiments we do for breeding as well as for getting knowledge about the best pollinators for these varieties. And these are the fruits harvested in middle of August in Ortenberg in the River Rhine Valley. So what is important if you plant Moni? It is self-incompatible. You need good pollinator. For example, Stanley or as well Resi. In late spring, it can happen then the leaves get chlorotic. But this is not really a big problem. This looks a little bit strange, but this is genotypically defined. So it's not a deficiency of any mineral salt, but it is just due to the MONI, to the genotype. In July, usually these leaves return to a dark green. And you have to know that there is a certain sensitivity to Pseudomonas, which means that you should avoid to have to plant on wet soils or on soils where you know that you have got a very high impact of Pseudomonas. You can see here the trees in late spring. The leaves get a little bit chlorotic, but this is not really a big problem. This is the other varieties, and this is on the first part, MONI variety. What are some pollinators? Other pollinators for MONI: Katinka, Top Taste, Chachanska Rotna, which is pretty well for pollination, Yo-Yo, Presenta, and as I told you, Stanley and Resi. So the harvest period of MONI is very, very long. At least for 2 weeks you can pick in perfect quality. It is starting 7 to 10 days later than Chachanska Lepotica. The weight is about 36 to 40 grams and the diameter around 35 to 38 millimeter. The color is dark blue with a very, very nice bloom upside the fruit. The inner quality is really excellent. We have got 19 to 27 bricks with moderate acidity. So it is in total it is a sweet fruit, but it has got some acidity which is really perfect for a plum. The fruit flesh is firm, very firm and yellow, and if it's completely ripe, dark orange. The stone is completely free, which is very important for the German market. And it has got, as I told you, the extraordinary good fruit quality. And very important, it is very tolerant to heat. So even if you have got very, very, very hot days during your ripening time, you will not have an impact on the fruits, which is important for the fruits for the varieties in the future. These are some pictures of the MONI fruit. Ripening stages on the bottom line, it is unripe, it's too green. On the upper line, it is fine because the fruit flesh turns to this kind of orange. So some data on the harvest window. In 2018, just to have an example, we started picking on the end of July in Badonia region, which is one of the hottest regions in Germany, not in our location, but in the River Rhine Valley, in the mid of River Rhine Valley. 14th end of July with 18.5 bricks, maybe a little bit harvested too early, but then 1 week later, end of July, until the end of August, the bricks decrease, they arise and arise and arise, and the fruit is still very firm. In early September, the fruit quality is still fine, but the firmness is not there anymore. So what we can say is at least 3 weeks, you can harvest the fruits in very, very good quality and in a quality you can use for storage. This is an example. MONI fruits harvested mid 24th of August, and this is how it looks like in end of September. And is very well suited as well for the famous German plum cake, which is very important for us. So, and very important thing is this MONI variety is completely resistant to the Scharka disease, so which is very important here in Germany as well, which makes a big advantage. We continue with this resistant variety. The other variety I would like to present, the third one, is Resi, and it is as well completely resistant to the Scharka disease. It is hypersensitive to the plumpox virus in the same way as MONI. It remains free from PPV in the field. And in order to keep this resistance, you should use the rootstock Dospina 235, which is resistant to PPV as well. So you combine a resistant rootstock with a resistant variety, which means that the whole tree is safe concerning plum pox virus. The vegetative growth is very similar to Babito and Weiba, so it is perfect suited for the actual growing conditions, growing systems we use for plums. So some details on the Resi variety. The flowering is medium to early. We have got plenty of flowers even on the long shoots, so the yield is coming pretty soon. It's very precocious, this variety. It is self-fertile, and it is a very, very good pollinator for plenty of other varieties. It has got a very long flowering period and a very good pollen quality. And it is maybe not to that extent as Franzi, but it is pretty robust against the spring frosts. Therefore, we have got very early and regular yields. The young trees are vigorous. It branches very easily. But what is important, even if the tree gets old, you get very good fruit quality even from the inner parts of the tree, which is not usual for plums. Usually you've got small and underdeveloped fruits coming from the central part, but this is very fine in case of Resi. And it has got an even ripening, so you take it, you pick one time and that's fine. What is interesting is that it has got a very long stem, which is fine because then you never have got this very high density you have got a little bit of aerification, and if there is a wet condition, the fruits get dry much faster, which prevents the appearance of fungal diseases due to this pretty long stem. So the fruit diameter is 38 to 40 millimeters. Weight is about 40-45 grams. The Brix level is about 20, which is not really very, very high, but combined with a low acidity, it's a very balanced fruit. The fruit skin is violet with a very strong bloom, which makes it very attractive. The fruit flesh is yellow, and it is very well suited for fresh consumption as well as for bakery. The fruit firmness is good, and as well, very important, we have not observed heat damages. The fruit firmness is not as good as in Moni, but is sufficient for supplying the German market. So these are the information for Moni, and the last variety I would like to present is Froni. It is the latest ripening plum variety we know, and I will give you some more information about that. The flower time is medium to late, and therefore it is not really very endangered by spring frosts. It needs a pollinator variety, for example, a Resi or Stanley, which works pretty well as well. What about the tree? The tree has got a medium vegetative growth, but pretty upright branching. This means that you do not have or only very few hanging wood. It is pretty easy in pruning. It is not completely resistant to the Scharka virus. However, if it gets infected, it will develop clearly visible symptoms on the leaves, which enables you to, in young orchards, if they have got infections, to eliminate the infected trees. On the fruits, you have no or only very mild symptoms. So which is pretty fine. So it's a variety tolerant to the plum pox virus. The fruit is ripening even 10 days after Presenta, which is the latest ripening variety we know up to now, and can be stored very easily. It is very dark blue with a bloom. Sometimes it can have a little bit of russet, as you can see here on that fruit on the right, a little bit of russet, but it's acceptable. The weight is about 36 to 40 grams, and it has got a pretty long harvest window as well. The stone is free, completely free. However, there is a certain speciality. The fruit flesh there is not any cave around the stone, but the fruit flesh touches the stone. The stone is free. You can just take it from the flesh. However, this makes you feeling the fruit much firmer than other varieties, because you cannot squash the fruits, because there is no cave around the stone, which is pretty unique. The fruit flesh is firm and a little bit crunchy, which is unusual for plums, but makes really a good feeling when you eat it. It has got 22 to 26 Brix, low acidity, and the neck shriveling is relatively low. Neck shriveling means that you have got you lose water on the part when you have got when the stem it touches the fruit. This happens in Germany pretty often in late ripening varieties. Froni is not suffering too much from that situation. And it has got a pretty high cracking resistance, which means that even if you have got some raindrop, then it is still acceptable. Yeah, so these are the information I would like to give you concerning the several varieties. If there are any questions, you are for sure free to ask, and it was a pleasure for me to inform you about the new varieties we have bred.
Thank you, Michael. Very informative presentation. Sunt careva întrebări din sală? Dacă nu,